Hello, everyone. I'm AG Bilik, the founder of Self-Publishing Mastery, and here we are again together at a new episode of our Self-Publishing Mastery Talks videos. And today, I have a very special guest. He's a world traveler and a pretty unique writer whom I had the pleasure to meet in person last year at a writers' conference in Stockton in Northern California. His name is Cristopher Blin, and it's time to say hello and welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
So the title of your book, a book that's self-published and is selling really, really well, is Swimming to Angola and Other Tips for Surviving the Third World.
Yeah, do you want to see a picture of it?
Yeah, please.
There it is right there, Swimming to Angola. And what tips? And yeah, it was published about 10 years ago with Author House out of Bloomington, Indiana, and gives my adventures through 96 countries around the world. And I actually drove from the USA down to South America. I drove from the length up and down Africa, and I went overland across Asia and Australia. And it tells you what to do if someone pulls a machine gun on you in Africa somewhere, or gypsies are trying to drug you in Eastern Europe. Things like this happened to me along the way, and how to avoid these types of things, and also how to come back home in one piece.
Obviously, I don't think, or maybe you did, was when you traveled throughout the world and you visited all these 96 countries. I'm not sure that was your intention to write a book. So how was your life before you became a writer?
Well, I played basketball in Europe 1 year, and then 8 years in Australia after that. So it was one of the jobs that I did overseas. But I also worked in the financial markets in London and in Sydney, Australia as well. And so I enjoyed doing some good productive things. And I also worked with Rotary Clubs International, which is a businessman's organization. And we worked in hospitals in Nigeria and in Africa. We also worked in women's shelters and schools in South America, for example. Projects like that, and it's just doing good deeds around the world, and hopefully teaching people about what we have here in America, and also learning from other people along the way what they have to offer. And you're able to do a lot of good things around, a lot of goodwill around the world, you might say.
Were there any other attempts to write a book before this one?
Yeah. For example, I kept a diary along the way when I was going along, and my own personal diary. And I also went ahead and met people along the way, and several of the trips. So I ended up having about 300 or so emails that I had of people. And then every couple of weeks, I would write a letter home from wherever I was. But instead of saying, "Dear Mom and Dad, here's where I am," I'd say, "Greetings from Kilimanjaro," or wherever I was at the time. And I'd email it to 300 some odd people on my list. And a lot of people from Germany, Australia, South Africa, they all wrote me back saying, "Hey, this is pretty funny stuff. It should be in a book someday." I said, "Yeah, you're right." So now we made it into a book, and then we made it into, there's a screenplay written for it as well. So hopefully we're shopping that around. Hopefully it'll be a big time movie one of these days. So you never know.
So obviously the main character is you. So you will have to find someone to play you, right, in the movie.
Yeah, of course, of course. They the Washington Times says I'm the real life Indiana Jones. So maybe we'll get some swashbuckling. Well, Harrison Ford might be a little too old for this now, but I'm talking a younger version, maybe Leonardo DiCaprio, someone like that.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Sounds good.
We're gonna have to find out. Yeah.
So let's get back a little bit to the process of creating your book, because I know that many people, they have stories. I think we all have stories to tell, and storytelling is a gift that in some people is more obvious, more developed than in other people. But there is an inner critic that often prevents people with great stories from actually going and telling those stories. So how was it for you to go from these letters you were sending to your fans, which is really clever. I've never heard anyone doing something like that. So you already gave us a great takeaway on how we can build anticipation for a book by doing what you just shared with us. But then, how was the process of turning those letters into a book and getting a publisher? Because so you said that was somebody was really interested in turning that book.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of stories, and working with the Rotary clubs, for example, I had a built-in audience, if you will. They have weekly meetings, and a lot of people like to have a speaker come, and I would go ahead and just tell my stories. And man, the first one I remember the night before, it's like I was telling my buddy, I don't think I can do it. I'm so nervous. And he goes, just tell your stories. People love to hear your stories. Like, all right. So I got out there and told some funny stories, and lo and behold, as long as the people are laughing at all your jokes along the way, they're buying books at the end of it all. So you got the table in the back and selling the books, and I had a great time doing that. The more they laugh, the more they buy. It's a great way to do it. And not only Rotary clubs, but I also branched off to other things like there's the Lions clubs, there's the Kiwanis clubs that go along with it, and chambers of commerce as well. And then you go to I've gone to schools and universities, and also different businessmen's corporations. Corporations that are sending people overseas, and they want their employees to hit the ground running. And that's very lucrative too, because you can not only have the book sales, but also a paycheck that goes along with just a speaking fee, which is great.
Yeah, and actually, if you like being in front of people and sharing your message, public speaking can be really, really fun and really interesting, and a great opportunity to connect with other people. But I think we should tell to our viewers that when you go up there and speak, you don't just read from your book. You basically, what you do, you take the message. This I assume, so you have to correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
But you find that's something in your book that's an inspiration for other people, and you convey it in a speech or presentation, right?
Right. As a matter of fact, because the book has probably a couple dozen really stories of me going through the different parts of the world. But when you write a screenplay from it, you have to take about the top 5 or 6, because you really want to tell everything. It's just too difficult to tell everything in one screenplay. So you take a little bit of that, and also I have a list of about 25 or 30 little stories that I like to tell, and depending on the audience that you're speaking to, they'll like this one, and other audiences might like this one, and you kind of gear your talk to what they want to hear, and practice that a little bit, and then just get out there and start doing it. And the more the merrier. The more you do it, the easier it becomes.
Yeah, and then people, they start to know you. And I mean, you just said that your book was released 10 years ago, and you still travel the world and you still give talks based on the same book.
Yeah, different things and different stories people still like to hear wherever, right? Just like a musician comes and plays his top songs, everybody wants to hear the ones that were really famous way back in the day, and he wants to throw in a few new ones too, but people really come to hear those old ones that they know about. And that's a musician, a comedian as well, actors. They show up and they do what they do, and people enjoy the event. Yeah.
So this is your book is a nonfiction book, because it's based on real events, and you talk about your life experiences. So some authors, they assume that, well, it is easier for a writer who has a nonfiction book to create this kind of to come up with topics for a speech or public speaking, and to inspire and motivate people or teach people something. But what about me? I'm writing fiction, so what can I do with my fiction to get this kind of public engagements?
Well, I'm sure that people enjoy an event. Look at the Harry Potter series, for example. Someone really enjoyed doing those, and I'm sure the author gets out there and speaks about how it was that I have no idea what they speak about, but I'm sure they might say something about the characters or developing the characters. There's a whole mess of things that people can speak about. All you have to do is just kind of lead it into a direction and tell them what you're going to say, and then say it, and then say what you said. I guess that's how it works generally.
Yeah, or maybe, I think you could tap into the main themes of your book and build something around that, because at the end of the day, the humans, we are all interested in topics that inspire us and motivate us and makes us feel an emotion. So certainly in every fiction book there is something like that to be found. Yes. But still, first, for a nonfiction author, and especially someone like you, I mean, for a nonfiction author who walks their talk, probably it's more obvious what direction they could go to use this public speaking engagement to boost awareness for themselves as authors and boost sales as well.
Yeah, and I don't just keep it to public speaking. I do book signing tours myself. Besides these different things, let's say I'm on vacation, I do a little bit of unconventional type of marketing. I mean, some people just have to have everything booked beforehand. And here I was going around the world, and I never booked anything beforehand. I kind of like enjoy the adventure of getting out there and trying something new. And if I think about it too long, I end up talking myself out of it. So I try not to think about it too much. I'll get out there, and if I take a stack of books with me or a box of books in the back of my trunk on one of my trips, like for example, in the springtime, you have baseball spring training in Florida or in Arizona. And I'll go down there and I will watch a few games, and then I'll speak with a few Rotary clubs, and then I'll bring a stack of books with me at a let's say I'm at a restaurant or something, and I'm out at a table. I'll put my little stack of books there, and I'll put my little sign that says author book signing today. Man, people come up and they go, "Are you an author?" "Yeah, here's my book." And they start going through it, and I'll tell a story or two, and they laugh enough, and then they end up buying a couple of books, which is great. And so I do it a little bit differently than a lot of people, but I really enjoy getting out there and doing fun things.
I remember reading about how Chicken Soup for the Soul became like a big hit, and I remember Jake Canfield, originally he did just that. He did this unconventional marketing where they had books in the trunk of their car, and they would go from one place to another and offer their books to bookstores at a discount price, or just throw in a book signing. And how much do you think, I mean, you are really successful in doing this, but how much do you think it has to do with your personality and your charisma?
Well, it's got me around the world and back. I've enjoyed it. Let's see. I have a buddy of mine who is an author in Arizona, and he wrote a trilogy of books, and he says, "Christopher," he says, "I've sold more books than you, but you've made more money than I have." You keep the expenses down. This is very similar to how I run my life when I go overseas. Anyone can go overseas and spend thousands and thousands of dollars, but I go around just having a great time and being a minimalist. It's worked for me. So I don't spend a lot of money on marketing of books, because Frankly, I do a price per book that how much I'm selling it, how much I buy it for, how much I'm selling it for, how much extra things that I have to add into it to get these things out the door. And yeah, having a personality and being able to relate with people and talk with people is fun. A lot of people, some people would rather write, and I guess how would I say it? When you write a book, there's two people who know about it: yourself and your mom. Okay.
Right.
After that, you got to start working on a little bit more than that. Okay. So bit by bit, every little bit helps, and sooner or later it starts snowballing down the road. But take a little time, but just enjoy everything along the way, because it can be a lot of fun.
You mentioned that you already, so when you started doing public speaking engagements based on your book, you were already familiar with the Rotary Club. But what about someone who has, like no connections whatsoever to no organization? So an author who has a book has a clear vision of, okay, I can talk about this, I can give a good speech on this and that and that. So what steps they should take to get their first paid public speaking engagement? What's your advice?
Okay. Even if it's not paid, do something that anyways. I think it was Mark Twain, a famous author, who once said 90% of everything is just showing up. Okay. So I show up to a lot of things unannounced sometimes. Actually, unannounced a lot of times. Okay. But I have no problem if I know there's an event out there. Like I said, spring training is one type of event. If there's a festival or something, people actually pay money to sell their books or sell their wares at a festival.
Oh yeah.
They pay a lot of money for a booth,
Yeah.
I don't do that because I don't know.
It makes sense.
I don't know how many I'm going to sell, but I have no problem bringing a stack of books with me and sitting down off to the side somewhere and quite unofficially hanging around and with my little sign that says book signing today, so I can make money at it. And also, if someone asks me to leave, I leave right away. I'm not going to argue with anyone. Of course, it's their gig, But I show up to a lot of things and just really enjoy life, because you can meet people, you can meet good people along the way. If I go to a bar with my girlfriend, I remember she loved bars, and I'd bring us 2 or 3 books with me and just put on the table, and she'd come up to the people next to us at the bar. Oh, this is my boyfriend, a real famous author. She would talk me up, and you couldn't believe how literary people get after a few drinks, so they're having a great time. Wow, this is great. How much is it? $19.95, no tax, no shipping. And with each one you get a free author's autograph.
Oh yeah, that's the
on my untimely demise, the value will skyrocket. So I sell a lot of books even with her, and just wherever we go, just have a good time laughing about it, and people seem to really enjoy it.
So that's that's personality, that's charisma. And then if you don't have a girlfriend or a charismatic boyfriend, just get one, and they will help. And
I've been at a restaurant or a bar, and I'd bring my 2 or 3 books. 10 books is too hard. 1 book, they think you're reading it yourself, but 2 or 3 books, you put it down next to you and they go, oh, what's that? And people will come up and say, oh, what's this all about? And you can just make eye contact with people along the way, and they seem to enjoy it. You just strike up a conversation. Oh yeah, me, I'm on a book signing tour. You are? Really? Tell me more about it. Okay. This is my book, and you have a 30-second elevator speech.
Yeah.
If you ever ran into someone in the elevator, you'd be able to tell them about it and drop a business card in their hand at the same time. So this is very important. Just, I tell people about what it's about, and people seem to laugh and enjoy it.
Yeah. So having this elevator pitch and then tailoring some topics that would cater to various audiences, and maybe then, go online and see what organizations are in your state or your city that would be interested in having that throw events where they invite speakers, and you can just start pitching yourself to those people and see where it's going to get. And maybe, I think and Christopher, let me know what you think about this, but maybe, getting a good video of yourself where you introduce yourself, like a 2-minute video, 1.5 minute video where you say who you are and what you do, that you can send to people so they can see you in action. Like, okay, this is the person, this is how she or he looks like, this is how he or she talks. That can also help.
Yeah, that sounds great. I wish I would have thought of that. Hey, maybe I can actually do that too. Hey,
yeah,
you'll learn new things along the way, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. We all learn from each other, and I think it'll be great to record one of your talks and put it somewhere out on your social media or on your website. What is the greatest benefit you've got so far from doing this public speaking engagement based on your book?
Book sales, of course, that's a big thing. But you're also known as as an accomplished author, and people come to you as an expert, and they want to know. I worked on a radio station. I just happened to meet one of the hosts on his own radio station back in San Diego, where I worked, where I lived, and he said, "Hey, you want to come on the show?" Sure. Well, that turned into a gig that went out for like 2 years. I was on the show every other week, or once a month or twice a month type of thing, as our international expert. If something happened in the international realm, they wanted to know what was my take on that, and also more stories about how to enjoy life and just tell people about the different parts of the world.
I'm also wondering, what would be your tips to someone who is going to do, let's say, who's going to have a public appearance, whether it's a book signing or that person is invited to speak at a writers' conference, or give a talk in front of a group of people. So what would make a great impression on those people?
Okay, someone once told me that if you are the speaker, you can't be part of the show, you are the show. Okay, so people are coming to see you. So this was a little bit like me in Africa doing something. I worked once at a town of 70,000 people in Nigeria. We put a computer system in a hospital over there, right? So for 3 months, they had 70,000 people and one white man, and that was me. Okay, wow. So you're everybody knows you're there, and you're very similar to, like, let's say Arnold Schwarzenegger came into someone's town, or Madonna came into someone's town for the afternoon of the day. Everybody knows you're there, and everybody wants to be part of it. So people would come up to me and say, "Hey, can I have a picture taken with you?" Yeah, sure. No, I put my arm around him. This is my good buddy, and someone takes a picture. And yeah, you sign autographs and things like that, and you have a good time doing it. That is, it's just being able to get out there. And what was the question again?
It was, what tips would you give to someone who is preparing to have their first public appearance or public speaking? Even in terms of posture and pacing, voice, that kind of
just maintain eye contact with them and be able to just be able to be at home with people. Be natural. Try not to. It takes a while to get done. After it doesn't happen the first few times, and then you'll be self-critical. Oh my gosh, I was blowing it. Oh my gosh, did I blow that? But don't worry. They'll remember the good things about your talk. But just remember, they'll remember everything. So that was let's see, I saw Rod Stewart once in London, and he was driving his Jeep, and he did an illegal U-turn, and he turned around, and he saw us looking at him, and we go, "That's Rod Stewart." And all of a sudden he goes, "Shh, don't tell anyone." Okay, well, that was 20 years ago. I'm still telling that story. It was like one brush with it. And this is all the people in Africa thought of me the same thing. So I realized, you're the center of attention. So be on your best behavior. You're a guest in their country. You're a guest on their stage, type of thing. They'll remember you for a long time. So just get out and be natural with people, and try to have a good rapport with people. And I think it was Sylvester Stallone once said, at one fleeting moment in life, grab for the gusto and just go out there and try to be an immortal for just one moment. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One mortal moment, be immortal. Reach for immortality.
Yeah, and then one more time, and every time you're doing a public speaking engagement again.
It gets easier every time.
And from my experience, people, they are not looking for first of all, I think it's hard to please everybody, so there will always be someone probably that's not so satisfied with what's going on. But overall, I think people, they tend to be really supportive. I was at a TEDx event in Reseda last year, and I remember one of the speakers, she kind of stopped in the middle of her presentation because she just forgot her what she was supposed to say. And the audience just applauded her and cheered for her and rooted for her. And so she continued her presentation and everything.
Came back into it.
Yeah.
That's good.
So this is just for you to not to fear the audience.
They want you to succeed.
Yeah.
They don't want you to fail.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Just realize they're rooting for you, which is good.
Yeah. What are you working on now? What's your what are the plans for this year, and when is going to be your next? Where can we see you in person, giving a talk or?
Let me see. I will be in the Philippines this year. In a month and a half, I will be down there for 3 weeks, and I'll be doing a few talks there. I'm also giving a talk in northern Mexico in August, so that'll be part of a seminar that's happening.
What's the name of the? Can you tell us the name?
The one in Mexico is on personal wealth and personal wealth and growth.
We will add the link in the comment.
Okay,
in
good.
the video comment.
Good. That'll be in August, and then in April and May I'll be down in the Philippines. A few things.
This sounds great. And I know you've got a new book too.
And I have another book that's part of a trilogy, and the first side is out right now, but it's on aging and end of life issues for the elderly now, and family coming together at the end of a lifetime. And there's a lot to be learned in this day and age as people are growing older, and thank goodness for that, being able to live longer lives and accumulate wealth along the way. And it's just an exceptional time right now in the history of the world, where we're living longer and longer and having a great time. Yeah,
and rumor has it that we will start living 250 years or so.
Could you imagine that? Wow.
If we stay like this, it's fine.
I think just laughing our way around the world and having a good time, meeting people. I try to teach somebody something new every day, and I try to learn something new every day. And play a sport, do something active every day. Little bits and pieces along the way really helps. And if you can laugh your way around the world, you can have a great time doing it. And people feed off of that. They're able to. They see the goodness going on, and they want to be part of it.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, you get out there, and we're teaching our own subtle ways along the way. We teach a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much for being with us today.
How did I get the name Swimming to Angola, the book title? You got to worry about titles and stuff. Do you want to hear that story?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm in southern Africa, and I'm driving up the west coast of Africa, driving through Namibia, and I wanted to go to the country of Angola. and they weren't allowing any tourists into the country. They had a 30-year civil war going on. They had minefields all over the place. They even had an outbreak of a deadly virus. So
Wow.
they weren't allowing anybody into the southern part of the country at that point in time. So I said, fine, thank you. And I drove my car parallel this river, the Okavango River, for about a couple of miles. I found this beach area where people were washing their cars. Well, it's not too many cars in Africa, first of all. So when you do have a car, if you want to get it washed, you put 2 tires in the river, and then you splash some water on it, and that's how you wash your car. Okay. So I said to the one guy, I said, hey, is this water safe here? And he said, yeah, it's safe. I said, like, no crocodiles safe? And he said, yeah, fine. So I paid him some money to watch my car, and I swam across the Okavango River to get to Angola. Well, I swam back, and the water was kind of rushing and kind of pushed me past the beach area into these reeds. And I kind of, with the water rushing at me, made it back to the beach area. And he said, yeah, you're a brave man. It could have been a crocodile's breakfast. I said, the guy earlier told me that it's safe here. He said, yeah, well, that's right here at the beach, but down there by the reeds where you were, that's where all the crocodiles are. So watch out when you do something on impulse. Make sure that you have a consensus of opinion when you go out there and doing it, because you might run into something a little bit more crazy.
Yeah, and we are not cats who have 9 lives, right? But
that's right.
Anyways, choosing the right title for your nonfiction book, I think that's another interesting topic we will address at some point during our self-publishing mastery talks. And for sure, Christopher will be a guest. I just want to thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you.